The Kansas City Chiefs go on the road and get the win, and we've got some things to talk about today, guys. And I'm going to apologize up front for the tone and tenor of this video. It's a very strange win for the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a very strange feeling to have watched a game where the Chiefs didn't. It's hard to say they played poorly, but you can't say they played well. You cannot say that the Kansas City Chiefs went on the field and laid an egg, but you can't say that the Chiefs went out and looked good. This was a strange... So I think that there is a feeling of relief when the Kansas City Chiefs play poorly and get the win. We've seen that a number of times in the Patrick Mahomes era where the Chiefs go out, lay an absolute egg, but somehow in the last 2 minutes of the game, they're able to march down and get a field goal to come out with the win. And you feel as if the Chiefs escaped with one. You know, those feelings from when you were in school and you had to give a presentation and you didn't remember that, but maybe you read the book or maybe you watched the movie, whatever the issue was, and you got up and you winged it. And you thought at the end of things, yeah, I think I did that okay. That's how those games feel. This game was markedly different than that. This game was just sort of... Here's what it almost felt like. It almost felt like watching a simulation. If you were to watch someone play Madden, the video game, with the Kansas City Chiefs, you would have a rooting interest. You want the Chiefs to win, even if they're just polygons on a video game, right? Knowing that there's no real emotion behind it, you just sort of have a rooting interest. It kind of felt like that. Nothing went poorly enough to really rile me up. Nothing went well enough that it was like, okay, I'm going to take note of that, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Nothing went so well as to say, yeah, I got to make a note here. I want to look at the stats behind that. Nothing went so poorly as to say, man, the Kansas City Chiefs really have to change something here. I believe they only allowed 3 points after halftime. That's a pretty good deal. I don't know how many they scored after halftime, just off the top of my head. So let's get into things here as we have them worked out. Headlines from last night's game. Chiefs stink. Win. Steel reserve. Chiefs fortify record. Hollywood lost. Pacheco gone. Kelsey invisible. Chiefs persist. So some just headline takeaways, big picture takeaways. Not a lot of positives here. Good enough to win, but they couldn't ice it when they had to. If I were to point out one very big negative about this game, the Kansas City Chiefs weren't able to really ice the cake. Is that the correct? You know what I'm saying. The Chiefs weren't able to go out there, as they've done so many times during the Mahomes era, and they'll get a 3-yard first down, they'll get a 4-yard second down, and then it's Kelsey over the middle for 4 yards, first down. We get to burn another 2 minutes off the clock. Didn't happen. Kelsey dropped a pass that would have, I think, been on the drive that they wanted to ice the game, the 4-minute offense, right? Kelsey dropped that pass. And look, we talked about this last year. I think that last year when the issue of the specter of drops popped up, and people were saying even Kelsey has the drops. Kelsey's always done that once in a while. Kelsey has always had focused drops. I don't think it's anything new. Don't blame it on his girlfriend. It's just something he's always had problems with. And then he gets red in the face, he gets angry, and he comes out and runs somebody over. That's always been Travis Kelce. It was just a weird sort of game. The big positive from this game is Nick Bolton looks like he's back. Probably you don't want to see him in coverage too often still. I'm not saying that. I don't think that he all of a sudden emerged as a different player, but he looked to be back in the running game. Several times, I believe he had 7 solo tackles, 1 assisted tackle, which would have been good for second on the team, I believe. Chamari Connor had 5 solo and 5 assistant tackles. But he looked like he was back. He looked like he was stepping into the line on running plays in the right spot. I think when you're watching Nick Bolton, he's very good at the snap. And he looks to have that at the snap step back. So maybe that is what is going on there. Maybe I'm just making that up completely. But he did look to me like he was back. Someone who does not look good, Justin Reid had a very rough day. And I don't know if that has been a season-long situation. Now that I'm thinking about it, I remember at least one play from each of the past 2 weeks thinking, didn't look too great there. Never really made a note of it. At least I don't think I did. Last night, he looked like he was really struggling in coverage, really struggling to take proper angles, really struggling in run support. Not a great day from Justin Reid. I will have to go back and try to figure out if that is a season-long thing that has gone on with him. The next note here, George Karlaftis, I've been talking about Travis Kelce being invisible. George Karlaftis has largely been invisible as well. The defense in general only got 2 sacks. They got 2 sacks from Mike Pennell and FAU. I mean, if you had put those on a bingo card before the game, I just said you already lost. You're never going to get that bingo. Well, guess what? Bingo. A weird day for the defense in general. I really thought that Spags was going to be able to tee off on Kirk Cousins, who is a stationary quarterback. He was going to be able to tell all of his defensive linemen, look, here's a spot, 7 yards in the backfield. Just aim for that. However you get there, you get there. Didn't see it. The Falcons have a good offensive line, but I didn't think that it would really be able to hold Chris Jones and George Karlaftis and Mike Dana at bay. It did. Really were kind of non-factors. Got penetration, but nothing excessive. I don't. It was just a weird day. Outside of Carson Steele, it was also a bad day for the rookies. Carson Steele, we'll talk about him a little bit later, but outside of that, not a whole lot of snaps, not a whole lot of production. Xavier Worthy had just a little bit on the day. Kingsley Suamataia, if I am remembering correctly, played 2 snaps. I did not notice Jared Wiley. Just not a great day for anyone, really. And I'll get to that a little bit later as well. Bad day for Travis Kelce, 4 receptions for 30 yards, at least 1 drop that I remember. Those are the big talking points for this game. But I think that there are things to celebrate, and especially when we get to the final segment of this video. The game ball, in my opinion, has to go to Rashee Rice. 12 receptions, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Rashee Rice has really emerged as a prime-time player. He has really emerged as a number 1 wide receiver for Patrick Mahomes. He has really emerged as a... So, Rashee Rice, it's a very interesting term to say after the catch, right? Because after the catch means a lot of stuff. It means you have secured the ball. It means that you are upfield. It means all sorts of things. Are you wiggly? Are you a straightforward guy? There's a lot of stuff that after the catch can mean. We've started seeing Rashee Rice be good at the catch. And I don't mean catching the ball. I mean when a player is positioning himself for the post catch, run while securing the catch. A lot of players never get there. That is a 4D chess type of thing. Rashee Rice has started getting good at the point of the catch. He is starting to catch the ball while changing direction. He is starting to attack the ball better. He is starting to do all of these things that are really advanced wide receiver things in the NFL. So to see him have another 100-yard day, he is on pace for 1,632 yards, I think. I will get back to that number a little bit later as well, which would be a monstrous season. Now, obviously, it's pace after only 3 games, but guys, 4 games is a quarter of the season. So 3 games is a decent sample, and he has been murdering it this entire time. The way that he is dominating after the catch is something that we started to see towards the end of last season. We started to see it in the postseason. We started to see some of the routes that he's been running in the postseason where he's not staying at the line of scrimmage. He's really doing things across the field, across the middle of the field, things like that. The next step to me when we came into the season was the deep ball stuff, right? I don't know if you remember me talking about that. I was talking about how the next step for Rashee Rice was the deep ball stuff because he was pretty good at everything else. And we hadn't really seen that from him, but he has the tools to do it. He has decent speed. He has a great vertical leap. All of these things that you would like to see from a deep threat besides 4.35 speed, Rashee Rice has them. He's got decent size. So having caught the one long ball this season, it might be that we start to see more of that from him. And if we are able to see more of that from him, it's really going to make things interesting for Xavier Worthy, because Xavier Worthy is the guy that we are sort of penciling into that MVS role in this offense where, hey, man, just go out there and run straight, which is what we had, what we saw MVS do a lot in Kansas City. So defenses did not fear Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Surprise, surprise. I think they do fear Xavier Worthy, at least for the time being, and that will remain the case for a few weeks until defenses decide they don't have to respect him because he hasn't been making plays. So the emergence of Rashee Rice as potentially a deep threat would be absolutely massive for the team. The offensive MVP, so that was the game ball. Offensive MVP is Carson Steele. 17 carries, 72 yards, a 4.23 yard average. Look, not a huge day if we're being honest with each other. There wasn't a whole lot to write home about on offense other than these two players, but maybe sentimentality is what's really getting me to put Carson Steele in there at the offensive MVP spot. This is a good game for a rookie running back. Not a great game. This is a great game for an undrafted rookie free agent running back in his 3rd game in the NFL. Just is. Don't know what to tell you. I know different measuring sticks aren't supposed to give you different results. Here, however, they do. I thought that he looked unsurprisingly strong. It's one thing to be the bully behind the line in preseason, to be the bully running guys over in the 4th quarter of a preseason game when you're playing against players that are probably never going to see a regular season NFL game. He's doing that. Not to the same extent, not to the same level, not to the same effect. But guys, not too terribly many people are interested in tackling Carson Steele, and he has legitimate heft on top of his cleats. He is falling forward. He is breaking tackles. It's almost interesting because when you see him with the ball in his hands, he does not look particularly athletic. It looks like you're watching a guy that's maybe too big to play running back. Like maybe this is a linebacker or a defensive end out there on the field. And then he just kind of is good at it. It's a strange thing to see at the NFL level because you look at him and you think, well, if big guys can just do that, why don't more teams have big guys? But they can't. It's not just a regular thing. It is a Carson Steele thing. It's interesting to see. I keep saying I'm not going to make the Mike Allstott comparisons because it feels disingenuous. Sure does make me think of him though. Defensive MVP Chamari Connor, 10 tackles, 5 solo, 5 assists, 2 PBUs, and an interception. Here's the thing. I think Chamari Connor has earned himself more playing time. I haven't looked at the snap counts for this week yet particularly closely. I don't know why Chamari Connor at this point, being the playmaker that he is, wouldn't be on the field every time the Chiefs are playing defense. I don't know who has made on this defense a better case for themselves this season than has Chamari Connor. I don't think there is any reason to have Chamari Connor on the sideline unless he needs some plays off. Whatever that means for whichever other players, it's just what it means. Now, it might sound like I'm picking on Justin Reed, but guys, Brian Cook had 2 blatant penalties this game. He grabbed, I don't know if it was McLeod or Bijan Robinson's face mask as he was streaking down the sideline. I mean, just yanked it. And then there was that pass interference in the end zone that everyone saw, and there was quite a bit of pucker factor on it, I think. Neither of them were called, but still, that does not suggest that they will not be next time. So Justin Reed and Brian Cook, in my opinion, if you're watching for snap counts, watch for snap counts. I think that Chamari Connor should absolutely be on the field. Now, to wrap things up, the Mahomes monologue. The Chiefs are 3-0. We are 3 weeks into the season, and there are only 4 teams that are 3-0. The Bills have the opportunity to get there tonight, but they're not there yet. Right now, the 3-0 teams are just the Steelers, the Vikings, and the Seahawks. Oh, and the Kansas City Chiefs. That's right, the Kansas City Chiefs. It's easy to forget how hard it is to win in the NFL. It's easy to underplay that the Kansas City Chiefs just went 3-0 against teams that, to me, look headed to the playoffs. It's easy to oversell how unimpressive Mahomes has looked during this run. I thought that for sure Mahomes would tear the Falcons' defense apart. They like to play zone, and Mahomes has always torn zone defenses apart, but it didn't happen. I figured Mahomes would finally get those interceptions in check. But he chucked another absolutely bonkers underthrow. And I don't understand it. I thought he would rekindle the Mahomes to Kelsey flame. Nope. But Rashee Rice now has over 250 yards on the season, 288 to be precise, which is on pace for 1,632. The most Tyreek Hill ever had was 1,479 while in Kansas City. So Mahomes has found himself a new number one target. Still, he said after the game that he's not playing his best, and that much is clear. He bails out of the pocket at weird times, and he's not doing the thing he used to do where he resets his feet, reassesses the play, and then figures something out from there as if it were a new snap. You remember that touchdown pass, I believe it was in 2022, against the Chargers, where he was on the sideline and he pumped and he double pumped, and then it looked like he got absolutely annihilated, and it ended up being just the camera angle, and Mahomes finally throws the touchdown pass after that. He's not doing that stuff. He's just running. He keeps running, but not reassessing the play. And like I said earlier, there's the weird interceptions that all seem to be underthrown. Mahomes has skipped a few passes this year. Patrick Mahomes has skipped a few passes this year. I never thought I would see that day. And that reminds me of something I said earlier. What was it? The part about the Chiefs being 3-0. Now, I know too often I come on here and say there's nothing to worry about. Too often that is the case, that I say that. And the Chiefs haven't lost a game since, well, do you remember? Christmas. The Chiefs haven't lost a game since Christmas. We're at the end of September now, and the last Chiefs loss was Christmas Day. Now, previous performance does not guarantee future results. That's true. But we're approaching 10 calendar months since I had to come on this very channel and talk about a Kansas City Chiefs losing effort. Previous performance does not guarantee future results. But there hasn't been a lot of losing in Kansas City since Mahomes took the reins, to be frank. So it's possible that we've forgotten what pretty good football looks like. It's possible we have forgotten bad football altogether. It's possible we're spoiled. Does this team look markedly different than it did last year at this time? No, I would wager to say they don't. And we were all frustrated last year too. In week 3, anyway. That's what I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out as we sort of go through the season here together. It helps YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And I hope to have you back for the next one.